Hello everyone, we are on to day 18 of reading the Bible cover to cover, and today we are looking through Exodus 2 to 5 verse 9. Now, I wish I had several days just to go through this passage because it is chock-a-block with everything that I love. So, lots of notes to get through. First point, right into chapter 2 verse 1, I'm yet to be 100% sure of this, but it was just a side note. It's interesting that the Davidic line doesn't come from Moses or Joseph, yet them being heralded as prophets throughout. So it was just an interesting side note that God still uses people that aren't exactly within the greatest line. Which, yeah, we kind of know, but it was just another point affirming that. Chapter 2 verse 12, where is it? Of course, Moses killing the Egyptian. He looked away this way and that, and then seeing no one, he struck down the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. Now, this isn't an epic moment. In fact, it's almost rather cowardly. This is a consistent theme throughout the Bible, taking care to pretty much almost really brutally humanize every single character throughout the Bible, because there are no perfect characters within the Bible, and some may say that flaws make greater characters, but in a sense it's just helping us realize that. Here we are, they're back again. No human is truly sinless, except for one. 12:14. Yeah, kind of like a haha moment. This is such a Joseph moment. He answered, who made you a prince and a judge over us? Which, of course, Moses kind of later is. Chapter 3 verse 2, and the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. Now I checked into the angel kind of text, and it's almost synonymous in a sense with messenger. Can't remember if it's spirit or not, don't quote me on that, but the commentary that's at the bottom is actually pretty good. So it kind of talks about these verses identify the angel of the Lord as the Lord and as God. The Old Testament often closely identifies the angel of the Lord with God himself acting as his own messenger. For example, Genesis 22:11 to 18, here the angel appears to Moses in a flame of fire as a sign of God's presence. Now this is almost kind of verified by 3 verse 5, which is the statement, of course, of this is holy ground, and the holy ground isn't holy because of the particular dirt that is used, but the fact of God's presence. So adding to that idea that this messenger is God. And my favorite part, the part I have definitely been looking forward to, is chapter 3:14. Why? Because it is one of my favorite parts. The I am statements. For those of you who are not too sure, the I am statement is essentially the name of God. When asked, like Moses was pretty much, actually I'll just say it. Then Moses said to God, if I come to the people of Israel and said to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you, and they asked me, what is his name? What shall I say to them? God said to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, say this to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you. So, yeah. And this is always an interesting point because this is mirrored by Jesus' I am statement. Jesus uses the same name as well, the name of God in the New Testament, so much so that the Pharisees, in Old Testament language right now, the Pharisees in the moment picked up stones to kill him. Is it the Pharisees or just the Jews? not too sure, but the people recognized what Jesus was saying. This is, I'm pretty sure, one of the reasons that Jesus sent to the cross, because of this blasphemy in a sense. So yes, the I am statements are very important. What's also interesting as well is that there's three almost contexts that they use in a sense, and they can kind of mean either. So three contexts: I am what I am, I will be what I will be. So yeah, they're sometimes translated in those ways as well. I've heard, I was listening to a commentary about a David Wood debate where this was brought up. Oh no, Jesus didn't really say I am, he said I will be what I will be, which is essentially meaning the same thing, which is pretty cool. And God is with us. Yes, that's my other point from that point. This is essentially, how do I say this? Oh yeah, given the context of verse 12, I will be with you, the name of Yahweh the Lord, is a clear reminder of God's faithfulness to his people, and this constant reminder that God is with his people. You know, John 1 goes talking about the word dwelling among us. The word became flesh and the flesh dwelled among us, and stuff like that. God constantly being with his people, those who are faithful. Awesome. And jumping across to 4:21. This is kind of what some might say not a troubling, but something that some may wrestle with. So take this carefully. And the Lord said to Moses, when you go back to Egypt, see that you do before Pharaoh all the miracles that I have put in your power, but I will harden his heart so that he will not let the people go. And so this is kind of cross-referenced with Romans 9:16 to 18, where Paul was talking about kind of this idea of God chooses who he chooses, and he wills those who he wills. For example, what shall then we say then? Is there injustice on God's part? This is verse 14 of Romans 9. By no means, for he says to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I have compassion. So then it does not depend on human will or exertion, but on God who has mercy. For the scripture says to Pharaoh, for this very purpose I have raised you up, that I may show my power in you, and that my name might be proclaimed in all the earth. So then he has mercy on whoever he wills, and he hardens whoever he wills. And then of course it talks about God molded you. God has say over you. Ultimately, you didn't create your own body, you didn't create your own the design of your eyes or the color of your hair. Those things were determined by God. You're created by someone else, which means you may have free will to act as you wish in this life, but ultimately you'll return to your creator. Jumping across to 4:31. 4:31? Yes it is. And the people believed, and when they heard that the Lord had visited the people of Israel and that he had seen their affliction, they bowed their heads and worshipped. So that was kind of funny, because I was like to myself, they believed and then they worshipped. I always like statements of belief because they, in a sense, affirm belief / faith / trusting in salvation and in God alone, not in our own good works, lest any man should boast. But that's all for now. Thanks heaps for today.